What did you think of Shedeur Sanders this morning and his comments at the Combine?
I wouldn't expect anything less from Shedeur. He's a very, very confident individual. Talking about if you don't want a franchise changer, don't take me. I've done it at two different schools. Why wouldn't I do it in the NFL again? I mean, that's exactly just from the people who had done all the background on Shedeur. Not that it's even a negative in everyone's minds, but that hyper confidence that's a part of the makeup of Shedeur Sanders. He's not throwing at the combine, which is not a surprise. Neither is Cam Ward. With Shedeur, a lot of what people are digging into from just what I've heard, I haven't done my deep dives yet on the quarterback class. I like to do that after pro days and after everybody gets to spend more time with them. But the real questions going into the process were just about, what is his dominant trait? He's not the biggest guy. He doesn't have the biggest arm. He is accurate with the football. But, you watch on tape, there are a lot of sacks. Is that on the offensive line? Is that on him holding the ball, forever? How good is he at processing? I'm sure teams are grilling him on the board. Then just getting a feel. Anytime you've got a really big personality like that, particularly at quarterback, obviously Shedeur's been in the spotlight for virtually his entire life based on being Deion Sanders' son. Are you comfortable with that type of a guy being your franchise quarterback? I really do believe, Suzy, that there are going to be some variants from board to board around the NFL. QB1 maybe, but certainly in QB2 because, Quinn Ewers in particular, he played almost all last season with what I was told was an oblique tear. He hurt it against Michigan. It got worse the next week, got worse and worse through the course of the season. He's finally healthy now. He's put on weight. He's up to like 215 pounds. He's been watching tape with Mike McCarthy over the past week. I talked to Mike, and he couldn't say enough good stuff about Quinn Ewers as a young man, the attentiveness. Mike said, I'm like a kid in an ice cream shop. I could talk all day, every day with this guy just about football and scheme. He's going to impress people through the interview process. Is it possible? I don't know that he's going to be QB1, but could he end up being QB2? I think it would surprise a lot of external observers. But just talking to people within the league, if you can get past some of like the little ticky-tack injuries the Ewers has had basically every year of his career. He hasn't had major injuries, but he's had something. He's played a lot of big games, man. I know that if Rich were in the chair, he'd remember one not so fondly.
Yeah, he
But
remembers
he's been in the
one.
playoff twice.
He does
won
remember
a
one
playoff
that
game.
took place in a certain big house only too well.
Exactly. I mean, and he stepped up. And I mean, think of this too, Suzy. There's so many guys who, especially in the current, the modern era of college football, all Quinn Ewers heard about for 2 years was Arch Manning and why aren't they playing him and the constant pressure on Sark. He's just, every time the game's not going well, get Ewers out, play Arch. Quinn Ewers not only didn't transfer and run away from it, he stayed and he succeeded. I mean, that's stuff that's gonna sit well with teams. I don't know. There could be boards on which Shedeur Sanders is the number one quarterback. We're still really, really early in this process. But if I were sitting here right now and I had to give you my educated guess, Suzy, I would say that Cam Ward, by and large, is QB1 for teams. There are some questions that teams are going to need to answer on him as well. He's not the tallest guy, doesn't have the best body. I know I talked to his quarterback coach, Daryl Colbert Jr., who actually also trained Shedeur. Really rare situation where the same guy's been coaching both these guys throughout their college and even going back to high school with Shedeur. But he said, yeah, he's worked on his body. He's been really dedicated with nutritionists. So it'll be interesting to see, even though he's not throwing on the field, kind of what does he look like through the process? Because, I mean, anybody who watched one quarter of Miami football last year knows that guy can sling it. He's pretty fun to watch. And somebody's going to have a really intriguing project. It's just a matter of how high are you willing to draft him.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.